Hey guys, so I want to make a video on my new character, a tri-stacker Lightning Strike Inquisitor, stacking rarity, strength, and intelligence. So this character is extremely tanky and has a lot of damage, especially for a magic fine character. And I made this character specifically for this farm, the Titanic's farm. Yeah, some gameplay footage in the background, I'll show more in game in a second. But yeah, this character is only meant for this farm, although it can easily do all content because it's just extremely powerful. It's not the fastest character, but that is fine because the Titanic form does not require an extremely fast character. It just needs a good enough clear speed, which, you know, Lightning Strike by itself definitely has good enough clear speed. So yeah, let me go over the POB and some in-game footage. So I've been taking this guy. This is a regular tier 17 map boss. He does like absolutely 0 damage to me. We're at 21k ES. He can never kill me. And this boss also has 130% of max on life as extra energy shield. So this should show how much damage I'm going to deal. Yeah, I'll just kill him real quick. I'll wait for my stacks to fall off because this gives like action speed reduction. So wait for the stacks to fall off, then I'll kill him. Right. And he's dead. So yeah, this character is absolutely insane damage, insane defense, meant for the Titanic farm. I'll show one more boss showcase, just so you can see the damage. And yeah, how Mono Strike Zenith works, it's every 5th hit that does the real damage. So your first 4 swings do essentially no damage, and your 5th swing will one-shot anything. So on this boss, his health won't move like the first second, but the 5th hit will kill him. And then yeah, so you see how his health is like moving, and then gone. That's the 5th hit. So the first 4 swings essentially do nothing, and the 5th hit will pretty much kill anything in the game. So let's go over the POB, how this character works, and all of that. So yeah, this is the POB. So I have 2 POBs here real quick just to show some EHP numbers and damage numbers. So this is the POB for Lightning Strike with essentially no conditionals outside of Rage. So this is 261 million DPS. And then as for my EHP, it's 275k with 48k Fizz max hit and 400k LE max hit. And this is like no defense conditionals whatsoever. I turned everything off. I turned Frost Shield off, Sigil Power off, everything, right? Now this is the POB with all conditionals on, so if you're standing still and just like turret in a boss, you get up to 90k Fizz max hit, 660k LE max hit, and 800 million DPS with Mono Strike of Zenith. If you're not sure how to calculate Mono Strike of Zenith DPS, essentially custom modifiers give yourself 76% less damage, then you have to go always 5th hit on Mono Strike. And then do this by times like 20 to like 24, depending on how many projectiles you have and how many how big the boss is. Because the bigger the boss, the more projectiles I'll hit him. So I did like roughly like 21 with my projectiles. Seems about fair and seems about accurate, as I do pretty much one-shot everything that isn't in the Titanic map. So yeah, and also this Lightning Strike DPS is with a rarity support gem. So you know, if you don't want to play a regular build and use regular gems or whatever, you can easily get a lot more DPS by using, I don't know, a real support gem like volatility, right? So yeah, besides that, like I said, we're stacking strength, int, and rarity. So that'll be fun. It's called a tri-stacker. We are 440% rarity, I believe. We'll check real quick. Yep, 441% rarity. Technically, 540% rarity is reachable if you get a 4x positive helical ring, but I just have a 3x positive one, which aren't too bad to get. So to go over the gear real quick, this is the mirror sword. This is the whole point of the build. So if you're asking, can I play this on a budget? The answer is no. You can play other similar builds on a budget, but you can't play this one because this build requires the mirror sword. You're stacking both strength and int for this sword alone because you're getting flat damage for both. And on top of that, the other reason why you're stacking both is for Inquisitor. So this right here is your only critical strike chance source and completely caps you out. So we have 100% crit chance. So yeah, the sword and Inquisitor is why you stack both strength and int, and of course there's other nice benefits as well, like Shaper's Touch. Okay, next is Crown of Eyes. So Crown of Eyes, if you're well aware of how Mono Strike of Zenith works, and you've seen like Karna's videos before, this just gives you insane amount of damage when playing builds like these, and it also works really well with Iron Will. So strength damage bonus applies to all spell damage, and that spell damage is applied to attack damage because of Crown of Eyes, and you have a lot of strength because we're stacking strength. Body armor, this is a standard body armor. This is a miniature body armor, but this is one of the places where you can cut the cost. You can make a very similar body armor with crafted attributes, so 6% instead of 8% for like 100 divines. Just keep that in mind if you're trying to find this build. Glove, Shaper's Touch. The only important mod here is the attack crit on implicit. Nothing else matters here. But yeah, Shaper's Touch is the reason why we're stacking both strength and int, as we're getting 1% increase ES per 10 strength, and we're going to increase evasion per 10 intelligence, and then of course we're going to accuracy per 2 intelligence. So yeah, intelligence is also how we're solving our accuracy issues. We have an insane amount of accuracy, so much accuracy in fact, if we do a map that has reduced accuracy, we still have accuracy cap, as you can see here. So even with a 25% less accuracy map and 90% increased map effect modifiers, we still are accuracy cap, which is nice. Yeah, Shaper Touch, absolutely insane for this build. It gives a ton of ES, a ton of damage, solid accuracy, really, really good. Boots, these are standard boots. I actually crafted these, not counting the implicits, like roughly like 40 to 50 divine, so it's actually relatively cheap. Implicits by themselves, because you want to go for perfect, then you know, it's probably like another 100 divines. But yeah, actually pretty cheap boots if you want to self-craft these yourself. Amulet. This is a Mere Cheer Magic Find Amulet. So it's triple rarity, rarity implicit, rarity on suffix and prefix, and then of course strength and int stacks as we're stacking those. Rings is a helical ring, it's triple positive. So the stats that matter here are strength, intelligence, and rarity. The other two stats don't matter. These are pretty easy to craft, but it's pretty costly until you get triple positive, especially if one you want. Of course, Kalon to go with it, and then Mage Blood rarity. So usually I'm a big Head Entry guy, but for Magic Find, you kind of have to use Mage Blood because Gold Flask is kind of poor with Head Enter unless you have really good flash shot generation because of how much flask this use. And of course, this Mage Blood, you get more increased effect. So yeah, you just get way more rarity when playing at Mage Blood. That's why I am playing at Mage Blood. Of course, we're also all using a tincture as well. The cool thing about tinctures on this build is that they last for so long because you have so much mana, so much unreserved mana. I easily get to like 40 or 50 tincture stacks, assuming I can attack stuff. It's pretty insane how well the tincture uptime is on this build. You have it for like any full boss duration, especially with a build with this much damage. So the tincture is extremely valuable on this build. Besides that, on passive tree, standard like stacker passive tree where you want to make the longest path as possible to get really good value out of your split personalities. So I'll show in game, but yeah, I see these split personalities give 53 strength and intelligence, and this one gives 58 strength and intelligence. Then of course we're just grabbing every single cluster because clusters are pretty overpowered on this build because of Martial Mastery, which gets plus 20 strength and 20% attack speed. So yeah, this is absolutely insane notable, and it's why we're stacking clusters. Past that, the passive tree is pretty uninteresting. It's just all clusters. I'm using 2 mirror smalls, by the way, but once again, you don't need mirror smalls. You can make the exact same smalls for like 100 divines each, 200 divines each. You just want the implicits, but yeah, that's another place where you can save as well. Besides that, that's all passive tree. Nothing interesting here. So I did want to explain the defense real quick. So it's from this Lethal Pride. So by converting everything to fire damage, if you watch other builds this league, you kind of know how this works. But yeah, you use a Lethal Pride to get Tempered by War. You then use Sublime Vision, which I believe I have over here. Yep, use Sublime Vision. So 30% of cold and lightning damage taken as fire damage. So that's 30% right there. Tempered by War is another 50%. So you got 80% conversion. The last 20% comes from your Watcher's Eye, where 20% of cold and lightning damage taken as fire damage while affected by Purity of Fire. So yeah, you're essentially only your fire resist matter, cold and legend resist don't matter. It's very, very nice. So you see 90% fire resist and you're capped, which is extremely easy to get, especially when using Mage Blood, as you just use a Ruby Flask. So yeah, that's how the build is extremely tanky for area resist. And for fist hits, I mean, you just have a large shield pool, you have endurance charges, you have aspect of the crab, which actually is pretty consistent. And you know, you have further stuff like Sigil Power and Frost Shield. So I think that's about it for the passive tree. Nothing really matters that much here. I would talk about Righteous Providence, Battle Mage. It's kind of whatever. It's just severe chooses for some extra damage. Could be cast Sigil Power and Frost Shield to get 20% more damage, which you do before every boss fight. So yeah, I think that's mostly about it for the character. It's pretty fun to play, pretty fast, and honestly, it's all content viable. And this character is so strong with Magic Find gear. If you play this as a regular build, the person who I originally got the POB from was a guy called Big Totes, and I just changed his POB to make it completely a Magic Find since he's a regular character. He's actually a Deep Delve character, so I changed it to accommodate for Mappin plus Magic Find. I think his character is around like 1.3, 1.4 billion DPS in Molten Strike. So yeah, if he plays a regular character, it's absolutely insane. I think it's pretty on par with Juggernaut Molten Strike. And more so importantly, it's actually a lot cheaper than the Juggernaut Molten Strike at the top end. Because usually Juggernaut Molten Strike, you need like multiple mirror smalls. On this build, 2 mirror smalls is kind of all you need. And like, even that, they're not like super important like they are on Jug. So this build's actually a lot cheaper and also does not require voices as well. Although it still is a multi-mirror build. If you want to copy this build, I think at minimum, you probably need like 3.5 mirrors, maybe even 4 mirrors. Because the 2 things you need is a Sublime Vision and the Mirror Sword. Everything else you can relatively get for cheap if you just self-craft. You know, the Corrupted Gloves was like 5 Divines, the Helm was like 5 Divines. Like I said, chest, boots, ring, you can just self-craft. You don't need a Reflected Helical. So yeah, overall, I think for how high performance this build is, it's actually relatively cheap because like a 4 mirror build that can get like 20k ES is pretty insane. So anyway, that's about it. If there's like more interest or whatever, I can always make a craft notes in the section, which I probably will. But yeah, it's not a budget build. Do not try to play this build without a Mirror Sword and Sublime Vision. You can definitely play other builds that are pretty similar to this one. Just don't play this one. Like, if you do want to play Landing Strikes as Molten Strike of Zenith, you can just play Jug, because that does have a budget version where this one does not. But yeah, that's mostly about it. If you have any questions, feel free to leave a comment below, and I'll be doing some more titanic scarab on this character.